Watch this.
It's not in the 208, but several complaints against Idaho's Dr. Ryan Cole were filed in the state of Washington by members of the 208. Those complaints have now been made public. In a state where the outdoors are considered a big part of the community, this nonprofit is working to make sure every Boise kid has a bike to enjoy them. From repurposed baby bottles to, well, what was once a snowman, I think, we're still digging through your, let's call them unique holiday decorations. Are you still prescribing ivermectin?
When somebody's acutely ill, I do help people when they need it. So yes, when patients are acute, no other doctor will help them. In the middle of a pandemic, why would I not help somebody? That's an oath and a calling I took.
Do you know ballpark or even a specific number, how many you prescribed with ivermectin?
Couple hundred.
Okay.
And 95% have been better in 24 to 48 hours. And the others started later in their course. None of them ended up going to the hospital. Nobody's died. And that's a really good track record for COVID in high-risk people.
Well, there's a whole investigation by the Washington Medical Commission into complaints that say otherwise. That was Dr. Ryan Cole, a clinical pathologist, on August 17th, the day he was appointed to the Central District Health Board as the lone physician on that board. A controversial appointment, to say the least. Dr. Cole owns Cole Diagnostics in Garden City, a lab that runs tests on all kinds of things. And his specialty is dermatopathology, which is studying skin cancer through a microscope. But during COVID, he's taken it upon himself to prescribe the anti-parasitic drug ivermectin to patients because, as you just heard, they couldn't get that kind of help anywhere else, he says. Probably for good reason. Ivermectin hasn't been FDA or CDC or even WHO approved to treat or prevent COVID-19. In fact, all three of those have advised against it. It was shortly after that interview, the last time Dr. Cole spoke with us, by the way, shortly after his appointment to the CDH board, several agencies, physicians, and members of the public filed complaints against the pathologist with both the Idaho and Washington medical boards, two of several states where Dr. Cole is licensed to practice medicine. The Idaho Board of Medicine could only tell us complaints had been filed against Dr. Cole. However, they wouldn't confirm if there was any kind of investigation into those complaints taking place. Meanwhile, the Washington Medical Commission not only confirmed there was an investigation, but provided us with the complaints per a public records request. There were 5 of them, all submitted within a month of each other, between the end of August and the end of September. And those complaints are based on Dr. Cole prescribing a parasitic drug to fight a virus and what he has said about the COVID-19 vaccine. And they contain hundreds of pages, including paragraphs that contradict what Dr. Cole told us in August, that none of his patients were hospitalized or died after he prescribed ivermectin. The first complaint was submitted on August 28th from the VA Medical Center in Boise. The complainant said a colleague with St. Alphonsus Regional Medical Center had a patient who had been prescribed ivermectin by the respondent, Dr. Cole, and had died. The complainant said the doctor had significant concerns over Dr. Cole's rhetoric and his prescribing of ivermectin, and referred to him as a threat to the public with his misinformation. Specifically, Dr. Cole claiming that COVID-19 vaccines cause cancer and are ineffective. Another complaint, submitted the end of September, contained 4 affidavits from Treasure Valley doctors. One, an emergency medicine doctor who treats COVID-19 patients at St. Alphonsus and the VA Medical Center. This doctor wrote in the complaint, "In taking medical history, I am told by some of these patients that they are taking ivermectin for the prevention or treatment of COVID-19. For many, upon the advice or prescription of Dr. Ryan Cole, who they trusted for medical advice due to his warnings about taking the COVID vaccine or his recorded lectures touting the dangers of the vaccine and the effectiveness of ivermectin. Many of these patients now present with severe COVID-19, and some require hospital admission and critical care services. These patients," they went on, "are quite surprised to learn that ivermectin did not prevent or cure their COVID infection, and are contributing to the hospital capacity constraints by relying on disinformation perpetuated by Dr. Cole." Another affidavit from an emergency room doctor at St. Luke's, Boise. "Some of my patients inform me they are taking ivermectin for the prevention or treatment of COVID-19. A substantial percentage of them tell me it was prescribed or recommended by Dr. Ryan Cole, whom they have trusted for medical advice." And there was a complaint filed by the American Board of Pathology saying they had received multiple complaints about Dr. Cole, accusing him of spreading disinformation, advising against the COVID vaccine and masks, and giving advice that promotes the transmission of COVID-19. He purportedly has made statements that vaccines are fake, that they lead to cancer and autoimmune diseases, a clot shot, needle rape, and a human experiment, even though the Pfizer vaccine has been fully approved after rigorous safety and efficacy trials. He has advised patients to take hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin without scientific data to support their use in the treatment of patients with COVID-19. We also received an allegation that Dr. Cole may have provided prescriptions to patients in the absence of a physician-patient relationship and without sufficient medical record keeping. Now, the two other complaints, one a physician in Washington, the other who didn't say from where. We are not revealing the names of those who filed these complaints based on the fact they are considered whistleblower complaints. But because of them, the Washington Medical Commission has authorized an investigation that began on September 17th. 5 days later, Dr. Cole was notified of the investigation, and he was given a redacted copy, several redacted copies of the complaints and every which one that was turned in. We did reach out to Dr. Cole today, but have yet to hear back. It is worth mentioning, in each letter informing Dr. Cole of a formal complaint, the investigator with the Washington Medical Commission points out, when my investigation is complete, a panel of commission members will review it and determine whether to move forward with disciplinary action or close the case without taking further action. A majority of our investigations are closed without further action after this review. If the panel finds evidence of unprofessional conduct, they may take further action, he said. This investigation, we're told as well, may take several months to complete, depending on the complexity of the case and the ability to gather information. So we may not know what happens with this case against Dr. Cole, if anything, for a while. And maybe not without another public records request. We'll just have to wait and see. We do know Dr. Cole took part in today's regularly scheduled CDH meeting, although he was not there in person. So more and more agencies are now distancing themselves from an eastern Idaho sheriff and flat out asking him to step down. Bingham County Sheriff Craig Rowland has been charged with 2 felonies for allegedly dragging a woman out of a car by her hair and then pointing a gun at her head in front of several teenagers. This happened back in November, and that woman, according to court documents, was the leader of a youth group. And this youth group was out driving around dropping off thank you notes. 2 teenagers apparently put one of those notes on Sheriff Roland's door, rang his doorbell, then ran off. So why did Sheriff Roland then chase down the car, allegedly pull the driver out and threaten her? Well, what he told police, Sheriff Roland said he was, quote, on edge because he and his wife had had previous run-ins with some members of the community, adding, quote, I've had drunk Indians drive down my cul-de-sac. I've had drunk Indians come to my door. I live just off the reservation. We have a lot of reservation people around us who are not good people. So as you can imagine, it didn't sit too well with the Shoshone-Bannock tribe, whose members live on the Fort Hall Indian Reservation, which is in Bingham County. They have asked Sheriff Roland to step down, and today there are more of those resignation demands. Blackfoot Mayor and Blackfoot Police Department, which are in Bingham County, issued this statement on Facebook this afternoon. They say in order to protect the integrity of our law enforcement agencies, the City of Blackfoot and the Blackfoot Police Department call for the immediate resignation and public apology to the Fort Hall community by Sheriff Craig Roland. We also received a statement from the Idaho Sheriff's Association. Sheriff Roland was the president of that group in 2020 and is still a current member. In a statement, Executive Director Jeff Levy says, I have reached out to Sheriff Roland and asked him to not represent himself as an ISA board member, pending an outcome of his current criminal charges that have been brought against him. Levy added, Sheriff Roland is afforded due process under the law, just like any other citizen, and they will let the judicial system play out. Roland, by the way, was also put on leave for 2 weeks as the state investigated, but as of yesterday, was back on duty. His first court appearance scheduled for next Wednesday. So Santa's coming to town next week, but before he does, these Boise elves are working hard to make sure a whole lot of kids across southern Idaho have something they deserve, holiday season or not, a bike of their own. We're going to share how you can help that in just a minute. But first, we want to make sure you get your questions and your comments in about the show before we head out for the weekend. Text the number on your screen, 208-321-5614. And don't forget your name and the hashtag, the 208.
Is the COVID surge
A lot of the kids, are in situations that, that we don't like to think about this time of year, and we hope that by, getting them these bicycles and, these toys and stuff like that, that we're able to make the holidays a little bit brighter for them.
That is Jimmy Halliburton, and that was back in 2011 with the Boise Bicycle Project, when they were able to provide a couple hundred kids with a new bike for Christmas. The Holiday Kids Bike Giveaway turns 15 this year, and every year they are able to make hundreds of Southern Idaho children very happy for the holidays. They've gotten so big over the years, they've outgrown their shop on Lusk, and for the second year in a row, they have taken up space over in an empty restaurant, which is just down the street, but in order to make room for their months-long build-up to the big giveaway day, which is tomorrow. And what a 15 years it's been.
Water bottle holder.
Any other details?
262 is Skylar. Skylar is 65 inches tall.
This probably actually is a red bike with purple grips. We're kind of down here at the Boise Bicycle Project, except for this is an old Pizza Hut where we have all of our bicycles stored right now. The Holiday Kids Bike Giveaway, but we call them dream bikes.
435.
Because these are kids who probably have never had a bicycle before, or absolutely wouldn't be getting a bicycle this year otherwise.
She likes black and wanted a mountain bike.
We contact our different nonprofit partners, our schools, our teachers, our social workers to help us identify the kids who need the bicycles the most. And then they give them a piece of paper, and it tells them to draw a picture of their dream bike and to write a story about it as well. And this kid wants their bicycle. It says it can become anything she wants. It can become a camper, it can become a restaurant, and then we take each and every single one of those pictures to create a specific bike for them.
Isaiah likes blue and black, and let's take a look at his drawing.
And so we have a lot of pressure on us because we know that as soon as those kids draw that picture, that they're starting to dream about this bike and what it's going to look like and what it's going to be like when they get it. If the kid says yellow pedals, we're putting yellow pedals on there. If the kid says blue grips or blue handlebar, we're doing that. If they say a basket, if they say streamers, we make sure every single bicycle really fits the drawing and the story that the kids gave us. Dylan loves to copy his brothers because he worships him. He would be so happy with this. This is just a regular 16-inch kid's bike. We found a banana seat. We actually custom painted it. We custom painted the fenders to look exactly like the drawing that the kid drew. So there it is. I grew up and I had a bicycle, and so many of us, I think, getting a bicycle for Christmas or our birthday seems like a normal part of childhood. And then the freedom and the opportunity and the community connection that comes with having a bicycle. That first year, I think we really saw the bicycle as this tool of not only making somebody happy during the holidays, but giving them a key that's going to help them connect to the community. In 2007, I think we had about 63 kids come down. They were from all newly arriving refugee families. And we were doing it was just as hard as it is now because we had fewer resources. We probably had 10 volunteers that were sharing 2 toolboxes and in dimly lit basements and our garages. And since then, the giveaway has grown and grown and grown. This year, we've got about 520 kids coming down. And it's really only possible because the community supports us in a way that we can do that. Every single one of these bikes are donated. They're not new. They're used, but our volunteers and our mechanics have fixed them up to the point where they're better than new condition. So we have volunteers who've been coming down here for 40 hours a week since October, working on bicycles nonstop.
Staff and volunteers
I just like working on bicycles.
like Steve.
I like the fact that they get bicycles out to kids that don't have them and need them.
What do you think?
And so we're fixing 20 to 30 bikes a week, but then as we get closer to the giveaway and more volunteers show up, then we're fixing 100 bikes a week. I mean, the best thing is getting to see the kids, the smile on their face, the look in their eyes. And so when you see that, it makes it really, really easy to work 60, 80 hours a week to, put so much work into giving these bikes away, because you know the impact that it's going to have for each individual kid. That's why we dreamify each and every bike. It's not about 500 kids that day. It's about each kid. It's about each dream. It's about seeing that look on their face. It's about making sure that they have the same opportunity that we did.
All right, so 15 more years, huh?
15 more years. But we always set out to make Boise the bicycle capital of America, and that was a place where everyone had access to a bicycle. So I guess in some ways we thought it was going to grow this big, and in other ways we know that we still have a lot of areas to grow, that there's still kids out there who need our bicycles. But we know that community support will keep coming, and as long as it does, we'll continue to grow it in really fun and beautiful ways.
Okay, so tomorrow's giveaway will be the second largest in those 15 years they've been doing this, with nearly 520 bikes, as you heard Jimmy say. But they're also donating about 100 bikes to the Fort Hall and Duck Valley Indian Reservation. So all told, about 700 kids will be getting a bike this Christmas. It's the most they've ever given away in 1 year. The hope is these kids continue to ride those bikes throughout their life so they can, build that bicycle community here in Southern Idaho. Kind of investment in kids. As of yesterday, they were still looking for 16-inch bikes, by the way. And if they get them today, they promise they will have them ready to give away tomorrow. We put a link to their website in this story at ktvb.com, and that's where you can see pictures of those dream bikes, even those that have yet to be adopted. Okay, so we have to share this video Levi posted on our Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook group. You see that little black thing kind of scurrying around in the corner? There it goes, just speeding around the backyard there. That's Levi's dog, Cupid. And apparently he has never seen snow before. And this was her reaction to the latest snowfall this week. Just loving it. Of course, caught by camera in their Caldwell backyard. Yep, look at them go. I guess if we call those, right? Isn't what we call these snow zoomies, where you just kind of zoom around the backyard? Yeah, Cupid, loving we call it the Cupid Shuffle if you want. That's cool too. I know you're looking up at the mountains right now if you're living in the Treasure Valley and saying, ooh, that looks appetizing. Not that we want you to go anywhere because we don't want you to miss the rest of the show. There's only 10 more minutes, so stick it through. But we do want you to, or want to point out to you that night skiing at Boise Basin officially open for the season starting tonight. And there's still time to get up there tonight and get in a few runs before it is over. They close at 10. But before you head up, make sure you buy your ticket online. Make sure there's still one available if you don't have a season pass. You still buy your ticket at the lodge, but only a certain number, a few of them, are left available, so you want to make sure you have one in hand or at least secured before you get all the way up that hill and realize they are sold out. Same with Tamarack. Good news, the ski bus is back in business starting tomorrow morning to Tamarack. $20 for round trip. It's a Summit Express chairlift now open from top to bottom, or for top to bottom skiing. Dollar Mountain and Seattle Ridge in Sun Valley officially open for the season as well. Bald Mountain also open. So yeah, we're getting that snow where about 2 or 3 weeks ago we were asking where it was. Finally, Brundage also open for the season, but single tickets already sold out for tomorrow, so I hope you didn't have plans to head up there for your Saturday. Make sure if you do plan to head up to McCall to take advantage of the best snow in Idaho, as Brundage calls itself, make sure you buy your tickets ahead of time. Okay, so all this month we've been asking for your weirdest and ugliest, and we don't know how to describe them, holiday decorations. You definitely understood the assignment because some of the things you have sent in we can't unsee. And we're a little unsure why you continue to pull them out year after year and put them up. But you do, and that's you. That's cool. We'll just continue to show them off. All the worst, the ugliest, the weirdest, all of those that we've seen. This one, though, might be kind of the oddest, more scary, I think. If you look at it, yeah, I know it's supposed to be like a cherub, but it kind of looks a little demented. Tony in Boise says his wife Susie found this ornament at a thrift store a few years ago. And they call it the Silent Night of the Lambs. Are the lambs still crying, Clarice? Or how about this one from Dave Ashworth? He says this Santa was on top of a candy jar. Well, he got as a child in the 60s. He says it's tradition to bring it out every year, but he says his wife just finds it plain creepy. And she might be right on that one. A little less creepy? Yeah, this one here, baby bottle turned into a reindeer. Lori Barbara made this, which now hangs on her tree. It's perfect red nose, isn't it? And along those same lines, Mike in Caldwell says this infamous tree topper was made by his father-in-law using upholstery scraps. He's since retired, but that top half topper remains on the tree because I guess the trash was too classy for that? I don't know. And finally, South Park fans may or may not recognize this questionable ornament. Anthony Post says one of his family's favorites was this slightly modified one by their kids. Apparently it was supposed to be a snowman that was white when they bought it at a craft store. The kids got a hold of it, though, and of course, in true South Park fashion, colored it brown with a marker and said, now, Mr. Hanky, the Christmas Pooh. That's what it is. Happy holidays to you, by the way. We're not finished with your weird and ugly decorations just yet. We still have another week to get through them. So keep sending them in, and we'll share more as we get through next week. All right, before we get out of here for the weekend, we're going to give you a little heads up about what's going to happen next week. It's going to be a little bit different. Taking Monday off, so you're going to see a regular news at 5 then. The rest of the week, though, we want to make sure we get to at least one story every day that was from this past year that may have been a favorite of yours. So if you have any that come to mind, top of mind, send us a text message. Let us know of a story that stood out to you that we did this year that we'd like to see again. Number, again, at the bottom of your screen, 208-321-5614. Again, we want to spend the rest of the year reliving some of your favorite moments of the 208. We're going to show some of ours. We'd like to show some of yours as well. So speaking of that, 208-321-5614, let's take a look at some of your comments that you sent in during the show today. Problem is, you're not going to put them on the big board. I'm going to have to read them off my phone for you here. But this one from Katie, who says, well, I understand you are covering ivermectin as a non-FDA approved drug for COVID. Why does it always have to be the main point you make? There's always two sides to every story, and you always show only one side. Why not show how it saved lives, too? There are other countries, such as El Salvador, that provide their residents, with ivermectin anytime they contract COVID-19. You make it sound like it's a horse drug, only when it's not and can be used for human consumption, says Katie. Well, I guess there's not really two sides of this story when the CDC, the FDA, and the WHO have all backed away from that, saying this isn't going to work when it comes to COVID. There's really not two sides to that. It's like saying there's a doctor that says sniffing glue would help clear a sinus infection. Is there two sides to that one as well? Probably not. Dr. Cole may be the biggest representation of our failure in the state of Idaho throughout this pandemic. Honestly, it's embarrassing and mind-boggling that they knew before his appointment that he was shady, says Derek. What exactly has to be done in order to take away a doctor's license? Asks, I don't know who asked that question. Doesn't matter. I guess we're about to find out. Maybe nothing? I don't know. We'll see.